So, WB's planning a massive overhaul of the DC film franchise, specifically revitalizing Superman on film, and that got me thinking about how we got here in the first place. Why does Superman need revitalizing? The DCEU Superman, as portrayed by Henry Cavill, has struggled to really connect with audiences for nearly a decade now, and people like myself who want the world's OG superhero to succeed on the silver screen have spent just as long mulling over why. How did we get here? My personal stance has always been that the issue is plain old characterization, but it's proven difficult to really clock what the central issue is in simplest terms. Is it really just that he kills people? Is it the disregard for collateral damage? After a while, I think I settled on the idea that it was to do with how monosyllabic and non-communicative the character was, but I don't know if even that paints the whole picture. Then, something hit me when I realized, among the years and years I've spent seeing people defend and advocate for the DCEU's characterization of Superman, praising what they see as the depth and complexity and impact of the character, I've never once heard anyone call him likable. And I'm not talking about the performance from Henry Cavill, who I think does his best to elevate the material. I mean the character as written. I've never heard even the hardest of hardcore fans of Man of Steel or BVS call Superman a likable character on the level of pure endearing character traits. And when you realize how true that is of the people in the movies as well, the simple foundational faults here blow wide open. It really is as stupidly, childishly boilerplate as the DCEU Superman needed to be written with some level of charm, and he just doesn't have any. Look, I respect the decision made by BVS and Man of Steel to portray Clark Kent as a conflicted guy with internal struggles, and the world around him as one that doesn't know what to make of him. But here's the truth of how to characterize Superman that often goes unspoken for how self-demonstrative it is. Unless literally everyone in the world of the fiction has the exact same biases and mistrust, then Superman needs to be the most charming man alive to at least some of them. That, even more than the scope of his deeds, is why Superman is Superman, and why the whole Superman needs to smile more discourse refuses to die. Heck, when BVS first came out, how few spoken dialogue lines Supes had was a point of controversy in and of itself, and I think all of that skirts around this issue that I'm talking about. It's not literally that Superman needs to have a plucky, happy-go-lightly attitude when performing his super feats, or even be a guy who's super talkative, but core to the character is that he comes across to the viewer as the kind of guy that everyone should like. He should almost be a cult of personality among the citizens of Metropolis, famous just as much for being a generally cool guy as he is for saving the day from natural disasters. For people like myself, it's difficult to sympathize with Cavill's Clark when most of the world seems to distrust him, because there's just nothing to his on-screen presence that makes me think people should trust him. Again, this isn't anything to do with the things he does, but rather about the things he is. He's taciturn, visibly filled with reservation and self-doubt, and any conversation he has is likely to be purely utilitarian. He's not a people person, and that's something you need for Superman. In Man of Steel, a scene like this is the perfect opportunity to have Clark Kent say something. Anything to establish him as someone who wants to offer his fellow man not just rescue, but comfort. Instead, he just stands there without so much as a come with me. And it makes him come off super off-putting, more like RoboCop than anything else.
Madam, you have suffered an emotional shock. I will notify a rape crisis center.
Excluding Joss Whedon's theatrical cut of Justice League, the DCEU Superman has exactly 9 actual back-and-forth conversations with any human being who's not a member of the Justice League, Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, or his own parents, be it as a civilian or as Superman. 6 of these are in Man of Steel, 3 of these are in BVS, and all of these conversations are about establishing exposition or furthering plot points. Even the very few times that a conversation has some kind of personal element to it, it never plays like an interaction that would endear Clark to that other person. Now, you might say, why does that matter? Other superhero movies tend to not bother with letting the protagonist converse with civilians or whatever. It's just economy of storytelling to limit your protagonist to speaking with people who directly matter to his story. The thing is, human interaction with the world he wants to save and be a part of matters more for Superman than any other hero in the medium. And my main point here is that it's really alienating to have so many opportunities for that connection go by unfulfilled. Be it a military general, or the wife of a criminal, or a priest, Clark seems incapable of forging any real bonds with the people he's talking to, even superficially, because the movies won't let him. Cavill isn't given the material needed to portray camaraderie or chemistry with anyone. This Clark Kent isn't the guy I can imagine anyone being real friends with, and that's nuts because Superman should be a guy who could conceivably make friends with anyone. Any story should be working overtime to make the audience see all of his villains and detractors as totally unreasonable, because all the power they might be fearful or envious of is so tempered by a warm, inviting human attitude. A troubled Superman is broadly fine, but the reason you see so many people call DCEU Superman Dr. Manhattan, the reason Superman dying never became any kind of cultural moment, is because the viewer is completely walled off from the guy. Clark, as written in these movies, isn't remotely inviting. He's completely and utterly lacking in social acuity. He doesn't have friends, or seem to want any. He has a general distrust of people. He doesn't have things he enjoys doing, minus the first time he flies in Man of Steel. He doesn't have the charm that makes you believe large swaths of the world would come to love him. All he has is a long list of things he's worried about. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been making a concentrated effort to avoid specifically putting the blame on Zack Snyder up to now. But for as much as I respect Snyder as an artist, I really do think he's at the root of the problem here. I think on some level, Snyder is a guy who looks at Superman and sees a symbol first and a character second. As a result, I think he treats Superman like a story tool, something for other characters to react to and have opinions about. And while Superman should in part be that, no protagonist can be just that if their story is going to be a remotely compelling one. We spend the entirety of all three Snyder flicks portraying a world reacting to Superman's deeds, but Superman needs to be more than just saving the world if he's going to be anything other than a figurehead representing the godly ideal of a superhero, or the idea of a persecuted immigrant, or the idea of a martyr. I can tell you all of these things that Snyder's Superman is meant to represent. What I can't tell you are genuinely endearing traits, beyond loves his parents and girlfriend. The biggest problem with Snyder's take on Superman, in simplest terms, is that he just doesn't seem like a guy anyone would want to be around, let alone admire. The biggest boon you could throw a performer playing Clark Kent is to just write him as a really pleasant person. It's stupidly simple, but if your character isn't one a viewer wants to spend time with, one who doesn't just want to help people but actually likes them, you probably haven't crafted a great Superman. I know there's tons of folks out there who disagree with my thesis here, so whether you feel like I've hit the nail on the head or you think I'm dead wrong, why don't you tell me in the comments and let me know what you think is the reason that Superman hasn't hit it big in the current DCEU. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the future.